The day I finally paid off my mortgage, the bank sent a congratulations letter. It was addressed to someone else, with my home address under their name. I stood in my driveway holding the envelope. 27 years of payments. 324 months, every single one on time. I'd made the final transfer 3 days ago, waited for the confirmation email that never came, and now this. The letter was cream-colored, heavy stock, formal, the kind of paper that cost extra. Regional Fidelity Bank had gone all out for the congratulations. There was even a gold embossed seal in the corner. Congratulations on paying off your mortgage. Dear Mr. Andrew Millhouse, we are pleased to inform you that the mortgage on the property located at 447 Ridgemont Drive has been satisfied in full. Andrew Millhouse. Not Andrew Garrett. Not me. My address. My house. Someone else's name. I read it 3 times standing there in the October cold. The paper didn't change. The name didn't change. I looked up at the house, a 2-story colonial I'd bought before my son was born, before the neighborhood turned nice, when this was still the cheap side of town. I'd replaced the roof twice, repainted it 4 times, torn out the deck and rebuilt it myself because I didn't trust contractors to do it right. My wife Ellen appeared in the doorway. What's taking so long? Coffee's getting cold. I walked up the steps and handed her the letter without saying anything. She read it. Her expression didn't change much, just a slight tightening around her eyes. Ellen had been a paralegal before we had kids. She knew what paperwork was supposed to look like. Call them, she said. It's probably just a clerical error. That's not a clerical error. That's the wrong name. Banks merge systems all the time. Names get crossed. It happens. But her voice had that careful quality it got when she was trying to convince herself of something. I called the bank from the kitchen while Ellen poured coffee. The automated system put me through 3 menus before I reached a human. A woman named Brenda, cheerful and utterly unconcerned. Oh, I see the issue, she said after I explained. You're looking at a letter that was generated from our secondary processing system. It pulls from a different database during transitions. What transition? We merged with Cornerstone Financial last year. Sometimes the names don't sync properly during the final release phase. The final release of what? Your mortgage lien. It's all standard. The system shows your account is satisfied, Mr. Garrett. You're fine. Then why does the letter have someone else's name? A pause. Keyboard clicking. I'm showing... Okay, there's a notation here about a conditional transfer that was processed in parallel with your final payment. That's probably what triggered the alternate name generation. My coffee had gone cold in my hand. What conditional transfer? I don't have access to those details, sir. That would be handled through our title services department. But I can assure you, your mortgage is paid off. The lien release should be filed within 30 business days. Should be? Will be. I apologize for the confusion. Would you like me to send you a corrected letter? I said yes. She said it would take 7 to 10 business days. I hung up feeling like I'd just had a conversation in a language I almost understood. Ellen was sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open. What did they say? I told her. She typed something, frowned at the screen. What are you looking for? County property records. They're public. If there's a transfer in process, it should show up. She found it faster than I expected. Pulled up the page and turned the laptop toward me. 447 Ridgemont Drive. Owner of record, Andrew Garrett. That was correct. But underneath, in smaller text, pending transfer to Andrew Millhouse, conditional upon final mortgage satisfaction and title verification. Status. In process. I read it twice. Who the hell is Andrew Millhouse? Ellen's face had gone very still. I don't know, but someone filed paperwork to transfer ownership of this house. That's impossible. I didn't sign anything. Maybe you did. Maybe it was buried in something else. I thought about every document I'd signed in the last year. Refinance paperwork, sure, but that was 2 years ago. Insurance renewals. HOA documents. Nothing about transferring the house. "We need to go down there," I said. "County Records Office. Now." Ellen closed the laptop. "It's Saturday." "Monday, then." She looked at me for a long moment. "This could be nothing, Andy. A filing error. Someone typed the wrong name." "You don't file a property transfer by accident." "No," she agreed. "You don't." We spent the rest of the weekend trying not to talk about it. I mowed the lawn even though it didn't need it. Ellen cleaned out the garage. We kept busy, kept moving, because stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant acknowledging that something was very wrong. Sunday evening, our son Evan stopped by. He did that sometimes, dropped in unannounced with takeout or a six-pack, acting like it was spontaneous when I knew Ellen had probably texted him earlier in the week. Evan was 28, worked in real estate project coordination for a commercial development firm downtown. He'd inherited my height but his mother's sharp features, and he wore expensive jeans that looked casual but cost more than my work boots. "Hey, old man," he said, setting a bag of Chinese food on the counter. "Mom said you guys had a weird thing happen with the bank?" Ellen shot me a look. I hadn't realized she'd told him. "Just a paperwork mix-up," I said. "Letter had the wrong name on it." "What kind of mix-up?" I explained it while Ellen unpacked the food. Evan listened, nodding, picking at lo mein with chopsticks. "That's actually not that unusual," he said when I finished. "Banks are terrible with their databases. When they merge systems, stuff gets scrambled all the time. You should see the title issues we deal with on commercial properties." "This isn't a commercial property. This is my house." "I know, Dad. I'm just saying it's probably nothing. Did they say they'd fix it?" "They said the lien release would be filed in 30 days. "There you go. It'll sort itself out." But he said it too quickly, too easily, the way you dismiss something you don't want to think about. "There's a conditional transfer on the county records," Ellen said quietly. Evan stopped eating. "What do you mean?" "Pending transfer to someone named Andrew Millhouse, conditional on mortgage satisfaction." "Huh." He set down his chopsticks. "That's weird." "That's not weird," I said. "That's wrong." "Okay, yeah, wrong. Have you contacted the county?" "It's Sunday." "Right. Well, go in tomorrow. Bring your mortgage documents, your deed, everything. They'll clear it up." He sounded confident. He sounded like someone who dealt with paperwork problems every day and knew exactly how they got resolved. But there was something in the way he wasn't quite meeting my eyes. "Do you know anyone named Andrew Millhouse?" I asked. "No. Why would I?" "You work in real estate." "Dad, I work in commercial development, office buildings and retail centers, not residential. And I don't know every person who buys a house in this city." Ellen was watching him now, too. "Evan, if you know something—" "I don't know anything. Jesus." He stood up, grabbed his jacket. "Look, I came over to have dinner, not get interrogated. Go to the county office. Talk to a title attorney if you're really worried. It's probably just some identity theft thing that got caught in the system." "Identity theft," I repeated. "It happens. Someone uses your address to open accounts. Files get mixed up. It's a pain in the ass, but it's fixable." He left 20 minutes later, taking half the Chinese food with him. Ellen and I ate in silence. "He's probably right," she said finally. "He's hiding something." "You don't know that." But I did. I'd known Evan since he was born. I knew when he was lying. He'd been terrible at it as a kid, always looking away, always talking too fast. He'd gotten better as an adult, learned to control his face, but the speed was still there, the need to fill silence. Monday morning, I called in sick to work. I was a commercial building inspector for the city, had been for 15 years. I had the time saved up. My supervisor didn't ask questions. The county records office opened at 8. I was there at 7:45, waiting in the parking lot. Ellen had offered to come, but I'd told her to go to work. One of us should act normal. The office was small, fluorescent lit, with that particular smell of old paper and industrial carpet. A woman behind a plexiglass window asked what I needed. I'm trying to understand a pending transfer on my property, I said, and gave her the address. She typed something, squinted at a screen. Do you have ID? I showed her my driver's license. She studied it, typed some more. I'm showing a transfer request filed on September 14th, conditional transfer to Andrew Millhouse, pending final mortgage satisfaction and title verification. I didn't file that request. It shows a notarized signature authorization. My chest tightened. Can I see it? You'll need to request a copy from the Title Services Department. That's on the second floor. Second floor. Of course. I climbed the stairs, found the right office, stood in another line. A man this time, older, with reading glasses on a chain. I need to see the authorization for a transfer on my property. He made me fill out a form, asked for ID again, disappeared into a back room for 15 minutes. When he came back, he had a folder. He opened it, slid a document across the counter. Authorization for conditional property transfer. My address, Andrew Millhouse's name as the transferee, and at the bottom, a signature. Mine. I stared at it. The loops were right. The way the G connected to the second R in Garrett. The weird flat line I always made through the final T. That's not possible, I said. Sir, this is a notarized document. Notary seal is right here. He pointed to a stamp in the corner. Date is September 14th. That's your signature? I never signed this. It's notarized. I don't care if it's notarized. I didn't sign it. He looked at me over his reading glasses. Sir, if you're claiming forgery, you'll need to file a police report and submit a fraud affidavit. We can't reverse a transfer based on verbal claims. I'm not claiming forgery. I'm saying I never signed this document. Those are the same thing. My hands were shaking. I pressed them flat on the counter. Can I get a copy of this? $2 per page, cash or card. I paid with my credit card. He made copies, stapled them together, handed them over in a manila envelope. I sat in my truck in the parking lot and read the document 3 more times. The signature looked perfect. Not just close, perfect. And the notary seal was legitimate. A woman named Patricia Vance with a registration number and everything. I called Ellen from the truck. It has my signature on it, I said. She was quiet for a moment. Your actual signature? It looks exactly like my signature. Andy, think. Did you sign anything in September? Anything at all? I thought. September, Labor Day, my birthday, Evan's birthday party, work, nothing unusual, no mortgage papers, no legal documents. Nothing, I said. Could it have been attached to something else, like buried in a packet? I would have noticed. Would you? You sign building inspections all day. How carefully do you read every page? She had a point. I signed off on reports constantly, pages and pages of compliance documentation, but those were work documents, not personal. This was notarized, I said. I would have had to be in front of a notary. Who's the notary? Patricia Vance. Ellen went quiet again. Then, that's Evan's girlfriend. The bottom dropped out of my stomach. What? Patricia Vance. She works for Evan's company. She's their in-house notary for contract processing. I sat there in the truck with the engine off, watching people walk in and out of the county building. Normal people with normal problems, parking tickets and marriage licenses and property tax questions. I'm coming home, I said. Andy, wait, don't do anything stupid. I'm not going to do anything, I just need to think. I drove home, doing exactly the speed limit, hands at 10 and 2. I kept thinking about that signature, the way it looked so perfect, not forged, genuine. Ellen was waiting in the driveway when I got there. She must have left work right after I called. We need to talk to Evan, she said. No. Andy, if Patricia notarized that document, then she committed fraud. Or Evan did, or both. We don't know that. Maybe there's an explanation. What explanation? What possible explanation is there for my son's girlfriend notarizing a property transfer I didn't authorize? Ellen's jaw tightened. I don't know. but we're going to find out. She called Evan while I stood in the kitchen drinking water I didn't want. I could hear her side of the conversation. Calm, measured. Come over tonight. We need to talk about something. No, not on the phone. Evan showed up at 6. He was still in his work clothes, charcoal slacks, and a blue button-down with the sleeves rolled up. He looked tired. What's going on? He asked. Ellen gestured to the kitchen table. We all sat down. The document was there in the middle, still in its manila envelope. I slid it across to Evan. Explain this. He opened the envelope, pulled out the papers, read the first page. His face didn't change. Where did you get this? He asked. County records. That's your girlfriend's notary seal on it. He set the papers down carefully. Dad, I can explain. Please do. Patricia did notarize this, but it's not what it looks like. It looks like a property transfer with my forged signature. It's not forged. You signed it. The room went very quiet. When? Ellen asked. Evan rubbed his face. Do you remember my birthday party? September 14th? His birthday party. At his apartment downtown. Patricia had been there. I'd signed. The card, I said. Evan nodded. The thank you book. Everyone was signing it. Patricia had people sign in front of her so she could notarize it as a keepsake. You signed it, remember? Right at the top of the page? I did remember. A stupid leather-bound book Evan had bought, something about gratitude and memories. Patricia had been standing there with her notary stamp, making a big show of how official it was. I'd signed my name at the top of a blank page, and Evan had laughed and said it was legally binding appreciation. You put a property transfer on top of that signature, I said quietly. It's not a transfer, it's a conditional assignment. Those are the same thing. No, they're not. The house doesn't transfer unless specific conditions are met, and those conditions require your authorization every step of the way. Evan, Ellen said, and her voice was ice. What the hell did you do? He looked between us. I could see him calculating, trying to figure out how much to admit. I needed collateral, he said finally. For what? A development deal. We're putting together a commercial complex on the east side, mixed use, retail, and office. It's a huge opportunity, but the financing requires personal guarantees from all the partners. I needed to show assets. So you stole my house. I didn't steal anything. The house is still yours. The transfer only goes through if you fail to meet the payment terms on the guarantee, which you won't, because you're not actually liable for anything. It's just paperwork. Ellen stood up. Get out. Mom, get out of my house. Evan looked at me. Dad, come on. It's a technicality. It doesn't actually affect you. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to grab him by his expensive shirt and throw him through the window. Instead, I said, very carefully, if it doesn't affect me, why did you do it without asking? He didn't have an answer for that. Ellen walked to the door and opened it. Get out, now. Evan left. The door closed. Ellen locked it. We stood there in the kitchen for a long time. The document was still on the table. My signature at the bottom, so perfect, because it was real. He used me, I said. Ellen's hand found mine. Her fingers were cold. Yeah, she said. He did. Outside, the streetlights came on. The neighborhood looked exactly the same as it always did, but everything had changed. I'd spent 27 years paying off this house, and in one night, my son had found a way to take it. I didn't sleep that night. Ellen did, eventually, curled on her side with her back to me. I lay there staring at the ceiling, watching car headlights sweep across the walls, trying to understand how this had happened. The explanation was simple. Evan had forged a document using my legitimate signature, had it notarized by his girlfriend, and filed it with the county to make my house collateral for his business deal. The mechanics were clear. What I couldn't figure out was the moment when he'd decided I was someone he could do this to. I got up at 5, made coffee in the dark. By the time Ellen came downstairs, I was on my second pot, and had a legal pad covered in notes. "You need to sleep," she said. "I need a lawyer." She poured herself coffee and sat down. "What are you writing?" Timeline. Everything I can remember about September. Everything Evans said about his work in the last 6 months. Everything we know about Patricia. Ellen scanned the page. "You're not going to find a smoking gun in your memory, Andy." "Maybe not, but I need to understand what I'm dealing with." She was quiet for a moment. Then, "I called around last night, after you finally stopped pacing. Found a real estate attorney who specializes in title disputes. Her name's Jennifer Webb. She can see us this afternoon." "Us? You think I'm sitting this out?" "I thought you'd be at work." "I called in. This is more important." I looked at my wife. Ellen had always been practical, the steady one, the person who kept things running while I got emotional. But there was something different in her face now. Something hard. "You're angry," I said. "Of course I'm angry. Our son tried to steal our house. He says it's not stealing. He's a liar and a thief." She took a sip of coffee. "And he learned it from somewhere." "Not from me." "No, not from you." She set down her mug. "I've been thinking about Patricia. She's not just a notary. She works in mortgage processing for Evans' company. She knows exactly how these systems work." "You think she planned this?" "I think she knew exactly what she was doing when she had you sign that page." I thought about Patricia at the birthday party, mid-20s, polished, professional. She'd been charming that night, made everyone feel special when they signed the book. I'd thought it was sweet. "We should talk to her," I said. "No. We should talk to the lawyer first, find out where we stand legally." Ellen was right. Going after Patricia without knowing the law would just give them warning. Better to understand the playing field first. Jennifer Webb's office was in a converted warehouse downtown, all exposed brick and industrial lighting. She was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with short dark hair and reading glasses she kept taking on and off. Ellen and I sat across from her and explained the situation. She listened without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow pad identical to mine. The next 2 weeks were quiet. Too quiet. No threats, no vandalism, no complaints filed against me. It felt like the eye of a storm. Ellen didn't trust it. They're planning something. Or they're giving up. They're not giving up. She was right. They weren't. The call came from Jennifer Webb on a Thursday morning. "Mr. Garrett, we have a situation. Evans' legal team has filed a motion to expedite the trial. They're claiming irreparable harm due to the negative publicity and requesting an emergency hearing." "Can they do that?" "They can request it. The judge decides whether to grant it." "When's the hearing?" "Next week. Wednesday." "That's fast. That's the point. They want to catch us unprepared." But we weren't unprepared. Jennifer had been building the case for months. We had witnesses from the birthday party. We had the original congratulations letter from the bank. We had documentation of the conditional transfer. We had everything. The hearing was scheduled for 2 p.m. Ellen and I arrived at the courthouse at 1:30. Jennifer met us outside. "Remember," she said, "let me do the talking. Don't react to anything they say. Don't make eye contact with Evan. I can look at my own son. You can. But don't. It looks emotional. We want to look rational and wronged." The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, an American flag in the corner. Judge Sarah Morrison presiding. She was in her 60s, gray hair, reading glasses, no-nonsense expression. Evan sat at the other table with his attorney, a man named Richard Porter. Patricia was there too, dressed professionally, looking nervous. Derek Holloway sat in the gallery behind them. Judge Morrison called the court to order. Porter stood up. "Your Honor, we're seeking an expedited trial due to irreparable harm caused by the plaintiff's malicious interference with our business operations. Since Mr. Garrett filed his lawsuit, He and his wife have engaged in a systematic campaign to destroy the East Side Commons Development Project. Jennifer stood. Objection. That's not what this motion is about. Sustained. Mr. Porter, stick to the grounds for expedition. Yes, Your Honor. The harm is ongoing and severe. The project has lost financing opportunities due to negative publicity generated by the plaintiff. Partners are withdrawing. Contractors are refusing to work. Every day of delay causes additional damage. Judge Morrison looked at Jennifer. Response? Your Honor, Mr. Garrett is the victim here, not the perpetrator. His son fraudulently used his signature to create a property transfer without his knowledge. The negative publicity Mr. Porter references is simply accurate reporting of facts that were already public record. Your Honor, Porter said, the fraud allegation is disputed. Our evidence shows Mr. Garrett knowingly and willingly signed the authorization. At a birthday party, Jennifer said, while being told it was a keepsake book. That's his testimony. Ms. Vance's testimony contradicts it. Judge Morrison held up a hand. I've read both motions. Here's what I'm going to do. The trial is currently scheduled for April 15th. I'm moving it up to March 1st. That's 6 weeks from now. Both parties will have adequate time to prepare. Motion granted in part. Porter started to object. Judge Morrison cut him off. That's my ruling. March 1st, dismissed. We filed out of the courtroom. Jennifer looked satisfied. March 1st is good for us. 6 weeks is enough time to solidify our case without giving them months to manufacture evidence. What happens at trial? Ellen asked. We present our case. They present theirs. The judge decides. If we win, the transfer gets vacated. If we lose, you'll need to appeal. And the countersuit? Separate issue. That'll be handled after the primary case is resolved. We thanked her and left. Evan was waiting in the hallway. Alone. Dad, can we talk? Ellen started to say no. I put a hand on her arm. 2 minutes, I said. We stepped away from Ellen and Jennifer. Evan looked thinner than I remembered. Tired. I'm in over my head, he said quietly. I know. I need help. Then drop the lawsuit. Void the transfer. Make this right. I can't. If I do, the lenders pull out completely. The project dies. I lose everything. You're going to lose it anyway. Maybe, but this way I have a chance. No, you don't. Holloway's going to drag you down with him. Evan's jaw tightened. Holloway's a good businessman. Holloway's a con man who doesn't pay his contractors. That article was bullshit. Competitor sabotage. It was facts, public record. You just didn't want to see it. I see it now. I waited. But it's too late, Evan continued. I'm in too deep. The only way out is forward. The only way out is to admit you were wrong and fix it. I can't afford to be wrong, Dad. If this project fails, I don't just lose money. I lose my career, my reputation, Patricia, everything. You should have thought of that before you stole my house. His face hardened. I didn't steal it. I used it temporarily, as collateral. That's different. Not to me. We stared at each other. I could see the calculation in his eyes. He was still hoping I'd cave, still hoping I'd be the reasonable dad who helped him out of trouble. I'm not dropping the lawsuit, I said. Then you're destroying me. No, you destroyed yourself. I walked back to Ellen. Evan didn't follow. On the way home, Ellen asked what Evan had said, that he's in too deep to quit. Did you believe him? Yeah, I did. Do you feel bad for him? I thought about it. No. She squeezed my hand. Good. But I did feel bad. Not enough to help him. Just enough to make me hate this whole situation even more. The next few weeks were preparation. Jennifer took depositions from everyone at the birthday party. Most of them remembered the gratitude book. Some remembered Patricia notarizing signatures. One remembered me joking about legally binding appreciation. None of them remembered seeing any actual property transfer documents. Jennifer also deposed Patricia. The transcript arrived 3 days later. I read it at the kitchen table while Ellen made dinner. Patricia's story was simple and consistent. She'd explained to everyone at the party that they were signing a legal document. Multiple people had made jokes about it. I had signed willingly and enthusiastically. It was plausible. It was also a lie. But proving it was a lie was going to be hard. "We need the original gratitude book," Jennifer said when I called her, "if it still exists. I'll ask Evan. He's not going to give it to you. Then we'll subpoena it." Jennifer sighed. "I already tried. His attorney says it doesn't exist anymore, lost or destroyed. Convenient? Very. Without the book, it came down to testimony. My word against Patricia's, and she was a notary. That gave her credibility." Ellen had been listening on speaker. "We need something else, some other proof." "Like what?" "I don't know, but there has to be something." She spent that evening going through every document we had: the bank letter, the county records, the transfer authorization, looking for inconsistencies, mistakes, anything we could use. She found it around midnight. "Andy, look at this." She had the transfer authorization and the notary log side by side. "What am I looking at?" "The date. The transfer is dated September 14th. Patricia's notary log shows the same date. But look at the time. The notary log showed 8:47 p.m. So? Evan's birthday party started at 7. By 8:47, people were leaving. I remember because we left around 9 and there were only a few people left. Maybe she notarized it earlier. She couldn't have. The notary log is sequential. Look at the entry before yours. It's dated September 14th at 3:15 p.m. A completely different document. Then yours at 8:47. Then the next entry is September 15th. I started to see it. You're saying she notarized it after the party. I'm saying she notarized it when there were very few witnesses around, when she could claim you'd read and understood the document without anyone contradicting her. That's not proof of fraud. No, but it raises questions. Why wait until late in the evening? Why not notarize it earlier when more people were around? She called Jennifer first thing in the morning. Jennifer thought it was worth pursuing. It's circumstantial, but it helps establish a pattern of deception. I'll bring it up during closing arguments. March 1st arrived faster than I wanted. Ellen and I sat in the courtroom while Jennifer and Porter made their opening statements. Porter's argument was simple. I'd signed a legal document in front of a notary. Whether I read it carefully or not was my responsibility. Buyer's remorse didn't constitute fraud. Jennifer's argument was equally simple. I'd been deceived into signing a property transfer disguised as a birthday party game. That was fraud, plain and simple. The judge listened without expression. We spent the first day on witnesses. Jennifer called people from the party. They all testified that it had seemed like a casual event, that Patricia's notarizing had seemed like a joke, that no one had read what they were signing. Porter cross-examined each one, got them to admit they hadn't been paying close attention, that they couldn't say for certain what I'd been told or shown. Day 2 was Patricia. She took the stand looking composed and professional. Porter walked her through her testimony. She'd explained to everyone that they were signing a legal document. She'd shown me the transfer authorization. I'd read it and signed willingly. Jennifer's cross-examination was brutal. "Ms. Vance, what time did you notarize Mr. Garrett's signature?" 8:47 p.m. "And what time did the party start?" "Around 7. So almost 2 hours into the party." "Why so late?" "I was waiting for everyone to sign the gratitude book first." "How many people were still there at 8:47? A pause. "I'm not sure. Maybe 6 or 7. "Out of how many total guests?" "About 20. So 2/3 of the guests had already left." "Some had, yes. Seems like an odd time to handle important legal documents, when most of the potential witnesses are gone. I was just doing my job." Your job as a notary or your job as Mr. Garrett's son's girlfriend? Porter objected. Judge Morrison sustained it, but the point was made. Day 3 was me. I testified about the birthday party, about thinking I was signing a gratitude book, about finding out months later what had really been done. Porter's cross-examination tried to paint me as someone who signed things without reading them, someone careless, someone who regretted his decision and was now trying to back out. Mr. Garrett, you sign documents every day as a building inspector, correct? Yes. Do you read every single page of every single document? I read what's relevant to my inspection, but not every word of every page. No one does that. So you're comfortable signing documents without reading them thoroughly. In a professional context with documents I'm familiar with, not at my son's birthday party. But you did sign the authorization. I signed what I thought was a birthday card. You signed a legal document in front of a notary. I signed a piece of paper I was told was part of a party game. Back and forth, over and over, trying to catch me in inconsistencies, but I told the truth and the truth stayed consistent. Day 4 was closing arguments. Jennifer went first, summarized the evidence, emphasized the deception, the late notarization, the lack of witnesses, argued that no reasonable person would knowingly sign away their house at a birthday party. Porter countered that I was an adult who'd signed a notarized document, that I had a responsibility to read what I signed, that my regret didn't equal fraud. Judge Morrison took it under advisement, said she'd issue a ruling within 2 weeks. We left the courthouse exhausted. Jennifer tried to sound optimistic. I think we did well. Did we win? Ellen asked. I think so. But with judges, you never know. The waiting was worse than the trial. Every day I checked my email obsessively. Every time the phone rang, I jumped. Ellen tried to stay busy. She cleaned the house top to bottom, organized closets, reorganized them. I went to work but couldn't focus. Did inspections mechanically, signing off on things I'd normally scrutinize more carefully. Dave noticed. You okay? Waiting on the court ruling. How much longer? Should be any day now. He nodded. Take some time off if you need it. I'm fine. But I wasn't fine. I was wound so tight I could barely breathe. The ruling came on a Thursday. Email from Jennifer. Decision posted. Call me. I called from my truck. She answered immediately. We won. The relief was physical. My hands started shaking. What does that mean? Judge Morrison vacated the transfer, found that you'd been fraudulently induced to sign the document, ordered the county to remove it from the record, ordered Evan to pay your legal fees. What about the countersuit? Dismissed. No basis once fraud was established. I called Ellen. She cried. Actually cried. I'd never heard her cry like that. It's over, she said. Yeah. We won. Yeah. But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like survival. Evan called that night. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Congratulations, Dad. You destroyed my life. Hope it was worth it. I deleted it. Patricia called the next day. I did answer that one. Mr. Garrett, I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. You notarized a fraudulent document. I thought I was helping Evan. I didn't realize. You knew exactly what you were doing. Please, I'm begging you, don't press charges. I'll lose my license. I'll lose everything. You should have thought of that before. I hung up. Ellen looked at me. Are we pressing charges? Jennifer says we could. Notary fraud is a criminal offense. Do you want to? I thought about Patricia crying, about Evan's voicemail, about the fact that even though we'd won, nothing felt right. No, I said. Let them live with what they did. But that wasn't the end of it. Not quite. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Lisa Brennan. Mr. Garrett, I need to talk to you. About what? The project. It's collapsing. Holloway's filed for bankruptcy. The lenders are calling all the loans. I'm going to lose my daughter's house. That's not my problem. Please, you beat this. You got your house back. Tell me how. I almost said no, almost hung up, but something stopped me. You need a good attorney, I said, and you need to come clean to your daughter. I can't. She'll never forgive me. Then you'll lose her house and her trust. Your choice. Lisa was quiet for a long time. Did your son forgive you? I didn't do anything that needed forgiving. But does he see it that way? I thought about Evan's voicemail, about the hatred in his voice. No, I said. He doesn't. So you won, but you lost. Something like that. She thanked me and hung up. Ellen had been listening. You could have been nicer. I was honest. Same thing to you. She was probably right. That night I lay in bed thinking about everything that had happened. The mortgage payoff, the letter, the birthday party, the lawsuit. All of it. We'd won. The house was safe. The transfer was voided. Evan couldn't touch it. But I'd lost my son. Maybe forever. And I still didn't know if it had been worth it.